When I make videos analysing a certain movie or show, there can be times where I don't always address everything. Sometimes that's down to me thinking it isn't necessary for the video I'm making, or it's because I've actually overlooked it at the time of scripting. Either way, these things can be brought up in the comments section by you guys, and you're usually asking for my thoughts on them. So, I've decided every so often, I'll make a video where I address these questions or things that I may have missed from my past videos, and I'll either explain how they fit into my theory, or if they actually changed it upon a second glance. For this video, I'm going to be addressing Stranger Things, Cloverfield, and A Guy with a Box for a Face, all past videos where I've made an analysis on these subjects. So without further ado, let's move on to the first subject, Cloverfield. So the reason I'm including Cloverfield in this is because I want to include some of the most frequently asked questions about my theory on the show. So just a brief summary of what my theory is. I believe that the Cloverfield monster we see in the first movie is a child for the aliens we see in the second. People have said that the Cloverfield monster couldn't be the alien's baby because the ship we see attack Michelle in the second movie is much, much smaller than the monster. So how can its parents be smaller than its baby? Which is a good question, but this isn't the only spacecraft we see in that movie. At the very end of the movie, where Michelle drives away into the distance, we see another spaceship 10 times bigger than the one that attacked Michelle, meaning that these aliens come in different sizes, so we don't actually know how big these aliens can actually get. Some people have theorized themselves that the Cloverfield monster could actually be a weapon for the aliens instead of a baby, created by the aliens thousands of years ago and planted in the sea on Earth, which I can also see being plausible too, but I'll still stick with my theory. Another question that people have asked is, during both of my Cloverfield videos, I said that J.J. Abrams came public and said that the bombs had ultimately killed Cloverfield in the first movie. But just like people have pointed out, at the end of the credits, in that first movie, you can hear a voice whispering something. It turns out if you put this in reverse, it says this. It's still alive. People have asked me what do I think about this, as it obviously goes against what J.J. Abrams said in an interview shortly after the movie's release. And upon looking into it, in all honesty, I think the real reason it's there is because J.J. Abrams originally intended to keep the monster alive for a sequel. But then he changed his mind and stated publicly that it was actually killed by the military at some point. So if anything, I think he created by accident his own plot hole. But it's easily fixable if you ask me. If you still want me to include this audio into my theory, then this is how I do it. The end of the movie arrives with the main antagonist trapped under a bridge right next to the Cloverfield monster. Shortly after, we hear the military drop their bombs onto Cloverfield. The movie ends, but we hear an audio clip telling us it's still alive, meaning it survived the bombs we saw drop at the end of the movie, but we don't know what happened after that. So J.J. Abrams in fact told us what happened after that. The monster was eventually killed, but he never said the monster was killed at the end of the movie. He just said the bombs ultimately killed it, meaning the monster could have very well survived the end of the movie, but then the military killed the monster sometime later in the day, after the events we see in the movie. Those were the two most recurring questions I've had for Cloverfield, so I hope I gave a good enough answer for both of them. Also, in other Cloverfield news, the third Cloverfield movie has been confirmed to be released on the 27th of October this year, but it doesn't have a title yet. There's also a rumor that the movie Overlord, which is going to be released in 2018, will be the fourth Cloverfield movie in the franchise. The movie is being created by Paramount Pictures and Bad Robot. Those are the two companies that make the Cloverfield movies. When they work together, that usually means, well, these days anyway, that they're working on a Cloverfield movie. Plus, JJ's idea of the franchise was to release a sequel each year, meaning there is going to be a movie for Cloverfield sometime in 2018. And since Overlord comes out next year, it makes perfect sense for that to be the Cloverfield movie. Also, the movie synopsis has been released. On the eve of D-Day, American paratroopers are dropped behind enemy lines to carry out a mission crucial to the invasion's success. But as they approach their target, they begin to realize there is more going on in the Nazi-occupied village than a simple military operation. They find themselves fighting against supernatural forces, part of a Nazi experiment. It takes place during World War II, but according to the synopsis, it involves supernatural forces, just like the past 2 Cloverfield movies we've already seen. Plus, it takes place on the eve of D-Day, which is the 5th of June 1944, just 1 year before the Cloverfield company, Tagruato, was founded. In my previous video, I said that the military know something about the aliens in 10 Cloverfield Lane, but we weren't given enough information about it to go in depth of their possible history with these aliens. I took a guess and said that they will probably explore that in a future movie, and since this takes place before all events we've ever seen in the Cloverfield universe, this story could be the one to explain it. I'll try my best to keep you all up to date on all the Cloverfield news and new movies on my Twitter if you want to check that out, but yeah, thank you. Let's move on to the next one. Guy with a box for a face. Okay, the reason why this isn't a full video is because it's actually, this is a video that I made not too long ago, so I didn't want to make a full video dedicating to this just only a couple of weeks after making this video. So for anyone who is unaware, I made a video not too long ago talking about this guy and came to the conclusion that his inspiration came from another act known as Tapeface. He was using the smallest of tools to put together each video, showing us if we think outside the box, we can make a pretty entertaining video. However, having looked into his channel more, I've actually changed my mind on what I believe is actually happening here. He isn't thinking outside the box, he's thinking inside the box. He's a stereotypical, unoriginal content creator. His head is inside the box. He can't talk, he only uses other people's quotes and other people's speeches. In all of his videos, never does he create anything new. It's all been done before. He takes other people's music and puts it into his videos. He's parodying content creators today and showing that there is no originality in them. Don't get me wrong, there are a lot of people out there who do try to make their own work, but there are a lot of people who don't. And those people who don't are the ones that Guy with a Box for a Face is parodying. I hope I explained that well enough, and I hope for everyone who hasn't seen A Guy with a Box for a Face does go check this guy out, because he has a great channel, and it's only a small one at the moment. I can see it blowing up in some time in the future, because what he's creating is really fascinating. Stranger Things. In my Stranger Things video, I made a little theory talking about how the creature we see in the show could have potentially been the Slender Man monster, and the series itself could have been part of an origin story. I left a few questions unanswered in this video, and I did say I was going to make a second video explaining more, which I completely forgot about until someone brought it up in the comments earlier. If the monster really was Slender Man, then a lot of people have brought up a good question of where are his tentacles that we see in most pictures of him? Well, in the Season 2 trailer that has actually been released not too long ago, we see an actual monster with more limbs than just 2. Whether or not it's the same monster is debatable, as it's a trailer and we have not really been given any context as to what's happening in that particular scene. Although we are shown drawings of the same creature, which could be a nod to the Slender the 8 Pages, which most people relate Slender Man to. Which leads us to another piece of evidence that I didn't mention in my last video that supports my previous theory. Another question people were asking was, where are the 8 pages if this is Slender Man? Well, they're right in front of us. The 8 pages are the 8 episodes of Season 1, telling the story of Slender Man. Maybe I'll make an actual video on the Season 2 of Stranger Things, but it seems to be more of a one-off. But anyway, guys, that is all the updates I have for today. I hope you enjoyed. Feel free to leave a like. I know it wasn't a full analysis on just another new thing, but I wanted to make this update on a bunch of things that I've done before, rather than just making one video on each of them. I just put them all into one video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for all watching. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Stay safe, and don't pull a Picard.